right. Hey, everybody. Again, it's Bruno and MB, and I think I've told you guys how excited I am in the last episode, so we keep going. Dorothy's brave enough to come. It's kind of like returning on Jeopardy, right? You just never know. This is called Double Jeopardy. Have you ever been on Jeopardy?
No, never. And I wouldn't do well on Jeopardy at all because I can't think fast enough like that.
Yeah, you know what? Here's a little tidbit. I mean, you live in Hollywood. How did we get on to Jeopardy? Anyways, you're on Double Jeopardy here. And Alex Trebek, God bless his soul, he's actually Canadian. And he also grew up in my hometown. He was born in Sudbury, I think. How do I know this? Because I actually knew a mother of somebody that dated Alex Trebek in Ottawa. So, you know, and so anyways, so you know what? I always have this over here just in case I have to answer a question. So I click it and I go, who is Alex Trebek? So that's our first thing right there. So welcome to Double Jeopardy. We want to talk about, so for those of you guys who have been sleeping under a rock for the last 25 years, Dorothy the Organizer is Dorothy Breininger. Thank you very much for showing up here again. Otherwise known as America's most innovative organizer. You're the organizing expert, Emmy nominated for the hit TV show for 15 years. Need more fingers. Martin, give me your hand here. Put your hand in. Oh, there we go. Boom. 15 years. 15th season of Hoarders. And you've been featured on Dr. Phil, The View. Goes on and on and on. How did you become an expert? That's a hell of an introduction, but our thing is like, how do you become an expert? In this case, you're an organizing expert. Let's talk about anything. How did you become it? What do you got to do?
Well, I'll give you the basic answer and then we can go from there.
Sure.
But to become an expert, you need to document everything that you do because everyone has an expertise. In fact, let me just take a moment to say that right now is the big time in our lives where we are marketing our own skills. So each one of you have a skill and a talent that translates into currency, right? So I documented my entire life. I'll give you one example of how I did that recently, but then I can take you back to how I got started by being bold. And that's how I really made my first.
Sure.
But I would say right now, the last thing that I did was I have my sister Pat, and actually, you know my sister Pat.
Absolutely.
Or knew her. And it was very interesting. My sister Pat was, she was dying of cancer. And I said to my sister, okay, what is it that I can do for you, you know, before you pass away? It sounds like a very odd question, but you know, it's meaningful to the person. So what can I do for you? She says, Dorothy, I would love to see the Pope. Like, oh, really? You know, but I have these organizing skills and I put the word out and got all the information in over a year's time of being organized and focused on the end result. You'll hear me say this a lot. I was able to go with my husband and my sister Pat to Italy, to Rome. And when we were there were 80,000 people. And not only were we there, but we wound up sitting in the very first row. And wow. Behind us are all 80,000 people. And my sister is only just months away from her final, you know, trip up to, you know, heaven. And for 3 hours, she was so engaged in this amazing experience. And then when the Pope Francis was speaking, when he was all done, he came and he was walking down an aisle and suddenly he came walking toward us. And I realized, oh, we're in the area that's for terminally ill people. But he actually came and blessed my sister and spoke to her and shook her hand. And like, this was the most amazing experience ever. What did I do? I mean, yes, I did that for my sister Pat, but I did two things. One, I wrote a book, an e-guide. It's free. All of you can go there. It's called thecancerconcierge.org. How do you manage your cancer in the face of, how do you organize your cancer in the face of a horrible diagnosis like like this. So I wrote a book about it. And that, I mean, it sounds a little weird, but that's my experience. Just like all of you have your own experience. You have it too, Bruno. I know you use it, but you take those experiences and then it's free to the world, but then it also becomes something that monetizes. And it's not my intention, but it does it anyway. So that happened. And then I also was able to write about that experience. So that's one way that I know I'm an expert, when I can take my life skills and turn it into something good for others, and I can maybe monetize it as well. Make sense?
You know what, Dorothy? I get goosebumps when you share that story, because I kind of knew about it. I think that's probably the best way to explain it when it comes down to life and death. That's just my opinion. And you took your expertise and took it to the next level, because I mean, not everybody can do that. That's God bless you. That's an amazing story. I got shivers just thinking about it. I think that you touched on something, and our motto on the show, our tagline is, it can't all be serious, but boy, I had to take a little bit of a deep breath on that one. You know, you touched on this. How do you turn your expertise into premium pricing? And I think that people either think nobody values them in what they do, and why would they choose you to do the service at a premium price? And I think we went through this, didn't you?
Well, yeah. I mean, look, let's say you're an accountant, right? Maybe you or let's just use that as an example. You're an accountant. So you can take a life experience, no kidding, and say, well, look, I've had an experience where I've done caregiving for a parent. That automatically translates to everybody's experience at one time or another. Mm-hmm. So by doing that, just documenting your experience, you are now creating a manual for your own, accounting firm. And you're also being real about who you are. You were an expert in it. You did it.
Right.
Right. So we all have a talent or a skill or an expertise. How I made my way, Bruno, though, was by being bold. I said I'd take you back to a couple of
stories. Let's talk about that. That's what people want to hear, because people see the end result on the marketing slick and say, "Oh my God, who is she?" And you're like, "Oh my God!" And the little I know, and I'm going to share a story about you. I'm going to. Yeah, you're right. Like, nobody cares about you when you're nothing, right? And now everybody wants the T-shirt. By the way, let me see that T-shirt. We're going to talk about that T-shirt. There you go. We're going to talk about this. So, yeah, so that's the Boss Organizer. We're going to talk about that. I want to highly suggest people touch on that. But yeah, let's talk about those early, bold moves and years.
Yeah. So the first thing, when you say, oh, well, I'm not known yet. Well, I wasn't known either. I was working as an executive assistant at UCLA, right? Just like Martha Stewart was doing party planning before we knew who she was, or, Susie Orman was a waitress before she became, a financial guru. We all have these things in common. We are somebody just regular. And that was me. I was working at UCLA, and then I went to the dean of the university and the chancellor and shared with them my skills. Mm-hmm. And I started teaching that all over campus, and then became a regular speaker. And then they started hiring me for projects. Wow. And then I wound up on the front page of the higher education, the Chronicle of Higher Education. And I started working at universities. So I eventually left UCLA, right? And then UCLA became my customer. And then I started doing other bold moves. I wanted to put myself on the map, and I know it's through PR and marketing. And so most of us know who Tony Robbins is. Yeah. Yeah. So I called Tony Robbins' PR firm. And I called his office and said, who do you use for your PR firm? And they gave me his name, Phil Lobel. He's here in Hollywood. You can believe I hired that guy. I sold my condo and used those funds to, and maybe not everybody wants to sell their condo, right? But, I used the funds to put myself on the map with a PR person who was already known, who already was doing a great job for one of the best. So that's how I put myself on the map. But every time, I read a book by Jack Canfield and Mark Victor Hansen, I thought, you know what, Chicken Soup for the Soul, they need to have an organizing Chicken Soup for the Soul book.
Wow.
And Bruno, they were doing a book signing in Las Vegas. That's a 4-hour drive for me. I'm in my car. I'm driving there. I did a PowerPoint on what I thought would do well. And, while I'm in line, Jack Canfield is signing the books, right? And his handler says, because I pull up and I say, here's my presentation. It's a presentation, not a book. And he starts reading it and he says, Jack, you need to continue signing. You can't read presentations here. In that moment, they made an appointment for me to meet with Jack Canfield, and I signed the deal the very next day to write a book. What does that mean? How do you become an expert? By making bold moves. That's all I'm here to say. One phone call. You can call a friend and complain, or you can call somebody and make an appointment to, so and do something like get a new PR firm. Which call are you going to make?
That's, that's amazing, because I think it all comes down, it sounds like it comes down to mindset and your outcome and the actions you take. Like you said, do you call a friend to complain, or do you call somebody that's going to be uncomfortable, but it's going to take you to the next step? And boy, you've had, not everybody's going to sell their condo or their house, but I just say, you know what? If somebody's asking, this is one of the reasons why I'm going to bring you up here in a second, about something you did for me. And this is why I invited you, and you were nice enough to say yes, is that not everybody wants to feel uncomfortable. And I think when people want coaching and training, they want to make it comfortable. And you, as a coach and a trainer, and you want to invest in training and coaching, if it's not uncomfortable, you're probably doing it, and what you're doing is not getting you the results you want. And coaching and training, and I want to talk about the Boss Organizer, because the stuff that you're going to train and coach is probably not that comfortable sometimes, and it holds you accountable. And I think that one of the things that holds you accountable, which you were saying, I'm treating this more of a dialogue because I love talking to you, but hey, you know what? You pay a big ticket price for taking my coaching or your coaching. They're going to show up. You pay nothing for it, you're not going to show up. You sold your condo. Holy, that's a big price of admission. And you look back and say, what was I thinking? And then you say, why wasn't I thinking that when I was younger? And who else is going to boo you? You got your core fans, like your lovely mom and your family, and they're going to love you anyways. So why do you need other fans in other cities? Who cares? Nobody's caring anyways, right? So I do want you to touch on Boss Organizer. You showed the t-shirt. Tell us all about it and how we can get involved in it, and up in Canada too, right?
Yeah, we have a lot of professional organizers in Canada. In fact, that's one of our major markets, the US and Canada, but we have organizers all over the world. And simply what I did was, I've been doing this for 25 years, organizing, whether it's in, entrepreneurs or big corporations or in people's homes. The organizing has been there. So 25 years of this, I'm like, maybe I should teach other people to do it, right? So that's what I decided to do. Took all that information, I wrote an entire curriculum, and then filmed it. So it's 9 modules, and it's called the Boss Organizer Blueprint. So no matter what area of the world in which you're working, anything, you look, even if you're an appliance repair person, you can still have 9 modules on whatever it is you prepare, or 5 repair. 5 modules. You can teach something right now and sell it. That's, this kind of education is more popular right now because the education isn't working at universities so well, especially with COVID. It's just become 100%. So hot, right? So this style of education is really what's working. So we have what's called a Boss Organizer. If you come into our world, whether you're in real estate, whether you're a nurse, whether airline attendant, all of these people were being laid off or were getting burned out from COVID. I think the timing was pretty lucky for us as well, but everybody has organizing skills in one way or another. Some don't. Those are my creative types. That's okay.
Sure.
That's okay. Left brain, right brain. But for those who have some organizing skills, they just take, I have a person who's in real estate. She's just dovetailing her real estate and putting under her real estate under this organizing umbrella. And so she goes through this entire video course that we have with, tests, and she passes and then takes some other courses, right? Some is coaching, group coaching, personal coaching. Some go into a mastermind. Some do one-on-one. It's quite expensive to do a one-on-one with me for a year, but people do it because they want to make it through fast. And so we have, certification, all of that in place. It is amazing. And these people who become certified as professional boss organizers, they come with me on the hoarder shoots. And then they're able to say, yeah, I'm on national TV or international TV. Yeah.
What is that worth?
Oh, $30,000 at least. When you think about.
I was just being facetious. I'm like, good luck getting on a TV show just calling somebody.
National TV show. But see, in our boss organizer training, we do teach you how to get on a TV show. Because guess what? I've done that with Jack Canfield, with Dr. Phil. I actually reached out. They were looking for people who were time management pros. Time management is all about organizing. So yeah, I'm not afraid to pick up the phone. And that's what I like to teach others, because those are the pieces that aren't always taught.
That's, it's incredible that you talk about this, because it's less about organizing your stuff, physical stuff, than organizing your thoughts versus your outcomes, and say, how crazy am I to do this? I use the word crazy because I prefer the word unique. How uniquely, because people call you weird. It was like, weird relative to what? Like, I'm uniquely focused on becoming the greatest organizer in the world. But so just one last little plug about what you're doing. It's not even a plug, but we're going to put the link underneath here. So if I'm in Canada, right, because that's most of our viewers, and they want somebody to help them out with organizing whatever it is, they get in touch with one of your boss organizers. Effectively, they're getting you through their methodology.
Right. Absolutely true.
So
same style, same energy, same commitment, same all of that. Yes.
You won't work with people, right, that don't bring, that, I don't know, energy, I guess, right? Like, you say no to people.
What I will say is, you and I have a similar personality, a lot of energy. Some people don't want that. Some people want a very quiet, thoughtful. I can be too much for some people, right? So, but our organizers are all trained in how to match and mirror our clients, how to give. I mean, all of this applies to anybody in business, to be perfectly honest. What we teach at the Boss Organizer Blueprint. But specifically, it's how to behave, how to attract the client, how to have them trust you, how to understand them, how to move at their pace. It works in all businesses, but it's what we teach at the Boss Organizer Blueprint. Yeah.
That's awesome. We're going to put the link down there. So Dorothy, thank you very, very much. This is awesome. Thank you.
Of course. Thanks, Bruno.